I think that's in the end of the day, your film has to make people feel something and be moved to go do something about the issues at hand. And I think a lot of people are afraid of, like, well, one person can't do much. And that might be true, but that one little thing that you can do, if you can do that, and if everybody did that, or if a number of people did, it pushes everything in the right direction.
Welcome to In and Out of the Fray, a series looking at questions of homelessness and homefulness. In part 3, we'll hear from Fray Keller, who wrote and directed the film Generosity, a film which asks us to consider homelessness through the eyes of its 5 main characters. His story is next.
Deciding to make this film was like, should I do that? Can I do that? Is that an okay thing to do in the world, to quit your job and go do what you'd really rather do in your life? That was a huge change, to give up the security of a job and just pursue my passion, hoping it would all work out. I live near downtown Boulder, near the Pearl Street Mall, and I would be on the Pearl Street Mall a lot. And there were, periodically homeless people here and there, who would be asking for money. And I kept going back and forth to some people I'd give money, some people I wouldn't. Some people, I thought, well, maybe, are they just going to buy drugs or alcohol with it? And so I had these two kind of sides to me, as to, I got to help somebody out, and I've got to, they're trying to scam me. And so I thought, well, what's causing who are these two people inside me? And so I thought, well, what better way to figure this out than write a script about where I have two characters who, each one of them kind of represents part of my psyche, part of my thinking.
The story plays out between Bob, a ruthless executive who wants the homeless run out of town, and Charlotte, a sympathetic news reporter who's always willing to help out.
And then I thought, well, there's got to be a character that kind of gets to what are the root problems here? What is the root issue? And that's where I came up with the character of David, who kind of was in the corporate world and got fired and lost his house, and he's homeless. And so he's the guy who's trying to dig to the root of it.
So how long you been out here anyway?
I don't know, 20, maybe 25 years. But before that, I was in a government program. I got to stay in a group home, got good meals. They put me on some kind of medication, and I actually started working.
Why'd you leave it?
No, I didn't. It left me. New administration, budget cuts. Next thing I knew, I was out on the street.
I wrote this in 2004 through 2006 or 7. And we filmed it in 2006. And the economy was doing really well at that time. But I wrote into this an economic downturn, a really bad economic downturn. And so, kind of things like that are, different than what reality was. But then doing research, once I decided to make the film, I did a lot of research about, why are people homeless, and why are they on the street, and what's going on. And a lot of things kind of came into the movie based on that research of, things that caused people to lose their homes, lose their ability to house themselves. We had a few people who had worked at the Boulder homeless shelter, and they said, hey, we might be able to get some actual, homeless people from the shelter to come down. And I said, yeah, let's do that. Let's try to get that. So we started working with the Boulder Homeless Shelter, and I think they had just been open not that long. And they did a really good job of getting transportation for the people, getting them down onto the set on time. And it was fun that they were, could actually relate. And we didn't have to do a lot of, makeup or costuming. They kind of came ready as, to looking just like, we would expect, and even more, kind of things we didn't expect. There's a part in the movie where the reporter Charlotte's trying to, interview the homeless, and there's a corporate guy who gives money to the shelter, and it's kind of an ad for his business, and he's just trying to put a Band-Aid on things. And then David grabs her microphone and starts ranting about what's really wrong with the system.
The thing is, this program isn't really here for our benefit. Giving us food keeps you at home from feeling guilty about us starving to death in the streets, but in reality, all this is little more than a Band-Aid for the real problem. What big business Hampton here doesn't want you to see is the tax write-off he gets by giving us a slop thrown out from his employee cafeteria. And this public relations event is supposed to distract you from the fact that his mining operations exploit the workers and pollute the environment.
After his rant, the real homeless had, been listening to this, and they all cheered. And I was like, oh, I did not expect that. But it made the scene so much better, because they were like, they really responded to it. And they're like, this is what's really going on. This is why we're here.
Ray spoke about some of the changes affecting society brought about by the current pandemic.
I think it's given everybody a kind of hit the pause button on the life they were living. So they were living a life of, mindless corporate drones, sort of, a lot of people. And they got a chance to, kind of shut down for a little bit and kind of figure out, well, what do I want my life to be? And where what's important in the world, and I think that has really changed a lot of things in society. And I think it's going to change things even more coming out of this pandemic. Is like, are people going to go back to, the way they were? I don't think so. They don't want to. They realize they're not being treated well in corporate America. And so, why would they go back to that? I think our society has always had people who didn't want to, do a 9-to-5 job and didn't want to be part of the corporate wheel, and, had kind of gone off on their own and done what they needed to do. I mean, I imagine those people, back in the 1800s were the mountain men, or just trapped and did what they needed to do. And then, in the 20s and 30s, there was the hobos, or the people who lived on, hop trains and went different places and did what they needed to do and didn't want to be part of, the way things are in the corporation. And I think that has changed. Those people are still out there, but I think the numbers have grown because, in the 50s or 60s, you could come out of high school and go get a job and make a decent living and be able to support a family and send kids to college and whatever you needed to do with one income. And that went away. I think the magnitude of the problem has, it's grown by leaps and bounds. It's much more likely people become homeless now than ever.
According to the National Alliance to End Homelessness, nearly 600,000 people experienced homelessness in the year 2020.
A really good film that gets people talking about, well, what do we do about these issues, and engages people and gets them thinking. I think that's the goal of any art. I mean, I think if you're a painter or a sculptor or a architect, you want to get people thinking about the possibilities and where we're going as a society. I say this is why I got into writing these stories, making films, is because I see things in society that could be better or things that aren't working, and I wanted to poke at them and get people talking about it. And so, almost every single screenplay I've written or film that I've made is something about a societal ill that needs to be dealt with.
We hope you're enjoying our new series, In and Out of the Fray. We'd like to encourage listeners to check out the film Generosity, directed by our guest today, Fray Keller. All proceeds from the access fee on Vimeo go directly to the Boulder Shelter for the Homeless. If you'd like to donate directly to the Boulder Shelter, we'll provide a link to that as well. Our series continues Tuesday, March 8th and Thursday, March 10th, 2022. Thanks for listening.